February 21st, 2004 is a day the townspeople of Barlonyo will never forget. A day when they lost up to 300 of their own. Fathers, mothers, wives, husbands, and kids. The Lord's Resistance Army attacked their IDP camp and most had no chance to escape. It devastated the town, which continued to suffer trauma long after the bodies were laid to rest. David Shelley met up with Pastor Robson, our partner on the ground, at the memorial site of that event to talk about the work that Crossroads Relief and Development has been doing there since 2006.
When we came into this area, there was no activity. There was no people wandering around. There was no children laughing. There was no noise. This is where a massacre occurred, and it seemed like there was just a heaviness over this whole area. And we're here years later, and things have changed a lot. What's your memories, first memories of when we were here as well?
I still remember that those years, 2006, the environment was like somebody had died, and everybody who looks at you sees you as somebody who's coming to mourn with him or her. There were no laughter, no joy. They also needed food. You would notice that they were very poor. You would notice that they were very traumatized. So Crossroads initiated an agricultural program whereby we cultivated rice for some beneficiaries. And we thank God that during that season, the harvest was so good. And the produce came, and they managed to sell the produce, and that began to change their lifestyle because they would sell it and money would come. They would use the money to buy food, and then they begin to think about sending children to school. And then the second thing that we did was, because of the trauma that they had gone through, we did a lot of counseling through our churches, especially Pastor Alex was able to spearhead that. We got a church that people would come to church, and then even in our meetings, and then we keep counseling them, showing them that, there is hope, and you can still live again. Death has occurred, but that's not the end of life. You can still live again. And we saw God actually working, and life began to come back in the community of Barlonyo.
And I remember during one of the times of people working in the field, the women beating the rice, and there was all sorts of singing and joy, and it was just amazing how things had changed for them. And of course, as they started to harvest crops, tell us about what's happening here now.
Yeah, the downtown you see here, a number of these buildings that you see behind us, they came as a result of our agriculture program. People who are in our program were beneficiaries. So when they sold their produce, they were able to do this construction of this building. So that speaks for itself, the change that came as a result of the agriculture program, which they got engaged into.
So yeah, that's great. We certainly thank our viewers and donors who supported and kick-started the change in this whole area. And we're just going to continue on finding those that are in the deepest of needs and still need help. And we'll keep working with you here in this area.